Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into what I like to call the ultimate investigation. We're going to unpack a truly fascinating historical text, John chapter 5, to uncover a truth that, according to the source material, absolutely demands a verdict. We're going to look closely at how the author presents a rock-solid case and how the claims made within this text challenge every single reader to respond.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Do you love a good detective story? Maybe your favorite books or movies are all about mysteries to be solved, villains to outsmart, and victims to rescue. Well, when we read this text, the author actually acts a whole lot like a master investigator. He's deliberately dropping clues to a mystery that has massive, real-world consequences for everyone who reads it.
Now, we all deal with those everyday minor mysteries, right? Like, where on earth did I leave my keys? Or, where's my wallet? And sure, those are super annoying. But the source material argues that figuring out the truth about life's biggest, most important issues is on a completely different level. It literally is a matter of life and death. This explainer is going to show us exactly how the text guides its readers toward understanding what it means to truly flourish by embracing the facts.
All right, let's kick things off with Part 1, The Quest for Truth, investigating the claims of Jesus.
Moving right along to Part 2, Healing at the Pool, the incident itself.
To really grasp the claims of this text and see how one single truth can produce two drastically different responses, we've got to step into the shoes of the people at a local pool in Jerusalem. Here, the text tells us Jesus walks up to a man with some irrefutable proof of his power. And get this, the man had been paralyzed for 38 years. 38 years! To put that into perspective, that was actually longer than the average human lifespan back then. The fact that he was even still alive was just remarkable. Imagine the countless times he must have tried to get up, or the heartbreaking point where he just completely gave up asking for help.
So Jesus walks right up to this man and asks him a super direct question. Do you want to get well? Now, you'd think this is a total no-brainer, right? Just a simple, enthusiastic yes. But instead of a simple yes, the guy's answer essentially boils down to, I can't. His response really reveals this deep, completely paralyzing hopelessness. He's been stuck on his mat for so long that it has literally become his entire world.
And wow, does this ever set up a stark contrast right after the healing? Jesus tells the man to get up and walk, and the formerly paralyzed man actually trusts those words enough to risk the effort. He embraces joyful obedience, and he walks. But on the flip side, we have the religious leaders. Instead of celebrating this absolute miracle, they respond with self-righteous, prideful anger. Why? All because the man carried his mat and broke their strict technical rules about working on the Sabbath.
Which brings us to Part 3, a mind-blowing claim, uncovering the motive.
You see, the opposition from the religious leaders doesn't just stop at annoyance. It turns into full-blown persecution because of how Jesus responds to their anger. When they confront him, he completely shatters their neat, controllable little boxes about God. He makes this scandalous, absolute bombshell of a claim that he is completely equal to God the Father. But referring to God with this incredibly individual father language, he was saying something that was utterly shocking to the religious elite of that day.
And he doesn't stop there. To prove his point, Jesus claims authority over things these leaders knew only God could do. We're talking raising the dead and giving life, the authority to judge all people, and literally demanding equal honor to the Father. But here is the fascinating twist in all of this. Even as he makes these massive claims to these spiritually dead leaders, who, by the way, are actively plotting to kill him right then and there, he is still holding out the gift of eternal life to them as an open invitation.
Let's dive into Part 4, 6 Reliable Witnesses, Examining the Evidence.
The text makes it incredibly clear that Jesus is not asking for blind faith here. In what reads exactly like a dramatic, high-stakes courtroom scene, he calls 6 fully vetted, highly reliable witnesses to the stand to prove his identity. He cites his own testimony, God the Father's audible voice at his baptism, the credible words of John the Baptist, his own undeniable miracles, the very scriptures these leaders studied obsessively, and finally, Moses himself. By laying out this mountain of evidence, he completely strips away any intellectual excuses the leaders might have for denying him.
So, the crucial takeaway we learn from the source material is that their rejection of Jesus actually exposes the dark roots within them. Unbelief, according to this text, isn't about missing a few facts or just needing one more clue to solve the puzzle. Not at all. Unbelief is a condition of the heart. It's a willful, rebellious rejection of logical evidence, even when it's handed to you by perfectly reliable witnesses.
And that leads us to our final section, Part 5, Applying Truth to Life, Reaching the Verdict.
All right, we've gone through the incident, the motive, and the evidence. So how does this verdict actually matter to our daily lives today? Well, the text gives its readers 3 really powerful, actionable takeaways. Step 1, Jesus asks you to take just 1 step to break your paralyzing hopelessness. He didn't ask the paralyzed man to run a marathon, he just said, get up. Step 2, pursue holiness. But catch the order here, grace comes first. When Jesus later tells the man to stop sinning, it comes after the cure. He offers grace before ever commanding the pursuit of holiness. And step 3, recognize that he alone has the power to move people to new life.
To really visualize this 3rd step, just picture yourself standing on the very edge of the Grand Canyon. If you tried to cross it, taking 1 physical step wouldn't even get you close, right? It's impossible. In the exact same way, crossing from spiritual death to life is framed as a step way, way too big for anyone to make on their own. The text argues that individuals absolutely cannot earn it or work their way across. They need Jesus to carry them over that massive divide.
And when it comes to taking this truth into our daily lives and sharing it with others, this quote just hits the nail on the head. It reminds us that purely intellectual arguments rarely convince people to change deeply held beliefs, because faith is framed as a heart issue. The text encourages followers to lovingly engage in real relationships. Speak to the mind with reasonable conversations about the evidence, absolutely, but continually pray for the heart.
As we wrap up this whole investigation, it's clear the author has laid out all the clues and evidence to make the case that Jesus is God. And man, that creates a sharp dividing line, both in this historical account and for our culture today. It leaves every single one of us with one final, deeply urgent question that we have to answer for ourselves. When all the evidence is finally revealed, will you mourn or will you celebrate at the revelation of this truth? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I really hope this deep dive gave you something powerful to chew on.